In this video, we'll be looking at question 1.5 from 5CO02. You should have read the scenario and know that this question is asking you to assess two different ethical perspectives and how they could inform decision-making in the case study. Before we dive into the approach, I need to remind you that this video provides general guidance on how to tackle this type of question. It doesn't give you the answers. You'll need to do your own research, analysis, and critical thinking. With that said, let's walk through how to approach this step by step. First, start by making sure you really understand what the question is asking. The command verb here is assess, which means you're expected to make informed judgments, not just describe or list features. So, you'll need to compare two ethical perspectives. Look at how they work in practice, and especially how they might influence decision-making in the scenario. Don't just talk generally about ethics. Keep your focus on the two perspectives you've picked, and stick to how they're relevant for real decisions in the organization. Now, when you're making your judgments, it's important to go beyond just outlining what each ethical perspective is about. You'll want to weigh up their strengths and weaknesses in the context of the case study. Use evaluative language, things like particularly effective, potentially problematic, or significantly influential, to show how each perspective might lead to different outcomes. Think about practical implications. For example, how might these approaches shape responses to issues like outdated people practices or handling performance problems? Try to see things from different stakeholders' points of view, employees, managers, maybe even the wider community. And don't forget, you need to back up your judgments with clear reasons, not just opinions. Let's talk about planning your answer. Start with a brief introduction that explains why understanding ethical perspectives is so important for decision-making in the organization, especially if they're trying to modernize or change how they do things. Then, structure the main part of your answer into two sections, one for each ethical perspective you've chosen. For each perspective, outline the main features. Talk about how it would apply to the scenario, using practical examples or dilemmas from the case study, and give a critical assessment of its potential benefits and drawbacks. If it makes sense, you can include a quick comparative comment. Finish with a conclusion that brings together your main judgments, clearly stating which perspective you think is more suitable or in what situations each might be most effective. Now, here's something crucial. Use the assessment criteria as your checklist. Make sure you've identified and explained your two ethical theories, shown how each could inform decision-making, used relevant examples, maybe from things like performance management or change processes in the organization, and linked everything back to outcomes and implications. Always check that every point you make actually addresses the criteria, so nothing gets missed. When it comes to sources and referencing, pick 2 or 3 high-quality academic sources that actually discuss the ethical perspectives you're using and how they apply in organizations. Paraphrase these sources in your own words and cite them using Harvard referencing. Make sure each source backs up a key point, whether that's about how ethics influences business decisions or the outcomes of different approaches. And don't forget to include a reference list in the right format. As you're building your analysis, always keep it anchored in the case study. Use details from the scenario, like the organization's reliance on traditional practices, the need for evidence-based change, or the risks that come with outdated people practices. Show exactly how each ethical perspective would shape real decisions in this context. That way, you're always connecting theory to real-world practice. If you're aiming for high marks, prioritize depth over breadth. Focus on two theories and really analyze them. Use directly relevant sources and build your arguments logically, supporting your judgments with evidence. Don't shy away from complexities. Sometimes different perspectives might lead to conflicting decisions or have different impacts on stakeholder groups. Offer nuanced conclusions and show you've thought critically about both theory and practice. Finally, keep your writing clear and concise. Be selective with your language. Make sure every paragraph has a clear analytical focus. Avoid repeating yourself and keep everything directly related to the question. Use straightforward sentences and logical ordering to maximize impact within your word limit. And here's a tip. Reading your draft aloud can help you spot any awkward phrasing or lack of clarity. Alright, that's the core methodology to tackle this type of question. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the rest of the 5 CO02 series for more tips on other questions. Thanks for watching.